Today's video is sponsored by Minimal Case. Now it's that time of year where all of the newest phones have just been released. We have the release of all the new iPhones, the new Pixel lineup, and if you're like me, you probably pick a phone based off of its design. And the last thing that I want to do is cover it up with some huge bulky case, and that's where Minimal Case comes in. Their case designs are made to give you protection against scratches and light drops while still allowing you to enjoy the design of the phone itself. If you go to their site, you can see they're available in more natural type colors. You have frosted black, frosted white, you have matte options, and you even have clear cases available as well. Now, if you are interested in buying any of their cases, make sure to use the code GAMESKI where you can save 25%. And again, I'd like to thank Minimal Case for sponsoring today's video. Alright guys, so today we're going to be looking at the Soundcore Life.2 NC. Now this is a noise canceling pair of true wireless earbuds that only comes in at $80, but what makes this pair exciting is this is the first pair from Soundcore that has noise canceling on a pair of true wireless earbuds. Now in the comment section, I have seen a lot of you guys ask or have been curious to if I know there's going to be a Liberty Pro version with active noise canceling. I think this is a good sign because if Soundcore is like dipping their toes in the water of noise canceling, it means that there's hope there will be a Liberty Pro version with active noise canceling. But today we're checking out the Life.2 NCs. We're going to see some of the specs that they have, what you get inside the box, and if it's worth the $80 price tag. Now to start with, the noise canceling on here is a hybrid active noise canceling. It's using multiple microphones to do its best to try to block out your surroundings. And to be honest, I was pretty impressed with the noise canceling that these have. Now these also work with Soundcore's app, and within the app you even have the ability to switch between 3 different noise canceling modes. They have an indoor mode, so if you're just going to be using them in the house and just people talking, it's going to block out that kind of noise. They have an outdoor mode, so if you're out and about and there's traffic going by, or if you just want to use them while you're jogging or anything like that, you would use that mode. And then they have a transport mode, which you would use if you're going to be on buses or subways or airplanes, and that's kind of focusing on blocking out a lot of that lower rumble. So I really am impressed that there's that many different choices as far as the noise canceling goes, and I think it does a pretty decent job. Now it's still not on the level of the Sony or the Bose. I would say that maybe it's about 65% of what those are capable of. So don't expect anything mind-blowing when it comes to the noise canceling. But the fact that they work with the app also means that you can alter your controls, and you even have a custom EQ setting. So that is one thing that the regular Life.2s did not have. Now, as far as some other features, they do have Bluetooth 5.0. These also have 11mm size drivers, which is a pretty large driver in an earbud this small. Now, as far as the IP rating on these, they do come in rated at IPX5, which is actually pretty impressive because most noise canceling earbuds kind of tap out around IPX4, which means this is going to be a pair that you can go out and you're going to be fine against splashes or rain, or if you're somebody that sweats heavily, they're going to be fine, but it's still not a pair that you're going to want to submerge into water. Now, as far as what you're getting inside the box, because Soundcore is pretty well known for giving you plenty of accessories, you do get 5 sets of silicone ear tips, and they've also included 3 sets of the true wingtips as well. And these do a very good job of keeping them in your ear. This is easily a pair that you can move around and shake your head and not have to worry about them falling out. Now, as far as the charging cable on these, they've included a USB-C cable. And speaking of the charging cable, battery life is very good, especially for a pair that has noise canceling. You're going to get around 7 hours on the earbud itself, with around 35 hours total using the case. Now, the case on these is not a Qi wireless charging case, so that is something I wish that they did have on this pair, but they do have a fast charge feature where if you do happen to pick the earbuds up and they're dead, a 10-minute charge will get you an hour and a half worth of use. Now, as far as the case itself, it definitely resembles the Liberty 2 Pro case. It doesn't slide open like it does, but it's about the same as far as the thickness and the width. On the back is where you see your USB-C input for charging. Now they do have that little lid covering it, and I've always said this in other videos, I'm just not a huge fan when companies do this. I do understand the purpose of it, but it just seems kind of inconvenient to open it up, and eventually throughout time it's just going to fall off. And then you can see around on the front you have 3 indicator lights so that you can see that the earbuds are actually charging, and you can actually gauge how much battery life is left on the case. So now to look at the earbuds, the first thing that I thought was these were just going to be identical to the Life.2s, but just have noise canceling. It just doesn't resemble the original ones at all. So they actually could have called these something completely different, and I never would have associated these with the original Life.2s. Now, as far as the controls on here, they do use touch controls, but I'm going to go ahead and say that Soundcore definitely messed up when it came to the controls on these. It's very limited. Now, you can go in the app and kind of alter some things, but there's no volume control out of the box. You have play, pause, the ability to skip your track forward, and then you have the ability to turn on your transparency mode. So I definitely went in and changed it where I had the ability to go forward and go backwards and then play and pause. But again, it leaves out volume control. Hopefully this is something that they can fix later in a firmware update. Now, as far as you guys that do like to use your earbuds individually, whenever you use either the left or the right by themselves, it switches over into mono mode. Now, this is something a lot of earbuds happen to miss out on. I'm glad that Soundcore is doing this, because when it switches over into mono mode, it pushes all of the audio out of that one earbud, so you're not missing out on what the other earbud would be playing. Now, as far as the microphones on here, I think this is another area where they definitely could have improved on. I noticed there's a little bit of noise in my vocals during phone calls, but you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here. Alright guys, so here is a mic test using the Life.2 NCs. I think it does a very good job of picking up my voice. I do notice that it has a slightly warmer tone to it, which actually kind of matches the sound of the earbuds, but this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call. And so now here is a mic test for the crowd noise being played, which you can hear here. And this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public. So now, before I give you my opinion on the sound, I want to play some samples for you guys. That way you can kind of hear a little of the characteristics of these earbuds. Now, obviously that's going to heavily depend on the device that you're using, but if it was a muddy sounding earbud, you would be able to tell that it's lacking in the details. But let's go ahead and check out some of those samples here. So now that you guys have heard the samples, I'm going to give you my opinion on the sound. I think the sound signature definitely leans towards what the Life.2 has, but before I get into that, I do want to say that at times I wish that these had another notch or two in volume. Now, they do get okay volume levels, but sometimes I like to listen to my earbuds loud, and I just wish that it had a little bit more volume. But as far as the sound goes, this is still a warmer sounding earbud. It definitely leans more towards the bass end, but the mids have a very very natural feel to them. You can tell that they're not trying to do too much to push them forward, but the vocals never lack when I'm listening to different genres. And kind of the same thing with the treble. The treble has plenty of details to it. It's nowhere near being bright. In fact, at times I would even like to see another notch or two kind of leaning towards treble, but I didn't have any issues with the details falling flat. It still had a really nice balance with the bass. Just know that it has a warmer sound overall. But the huge plus to these compared to the originals is the fact that they do work with Soundcore's app, allows you the ability to EQ these. So I went in and custom EQ'd and brought out the treble a lot more, and I was able to kind of tone down the bass. So it definitely responds to being EQ'd really nicely. Now, as far as the sound stage and the sound imaging, this is definitely not a wide open sounding earbud. And as far as handling where sounds and instruments and things like that were coming from, these handled that with no issue, and overall I was extremely pleased with the sound. Now, as far as my cons with these, I really only have two. One is the controls. I really just don't like it when companies feel like they're handicapping the controls. Luckily, these do work within their app, so hopefully within a firmware update, this is something that they will address. And then my only other complaint is I wish at times it just had a little bit more volume. But outside of that, this is a fantastic pair of earbuds. It's bringing a lot of value, which is not really a surprise when it comes to Soundcore. The noise canceling is fairly good. I do like that there's 3 different options within the noise canceling. The battery life is good for a pair that has noise canceling, and the sound is very warm, very bass heavy, and it just has a dynamic feel to it overall that you can EQ within their app, which is another bonus. But guys, that's my video on the brand new Soundcore Life.2 NCs. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.